1 week season.
1 week season, fam, La Familia, welcome back. It is Mike Johnson, M Johnson 86, coming to you June 3rd, Wake and Snake. We are getting into second month of Bestball drafting season. Rolling along here, going to bring my esteemed colleague Billy on. Billy, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You don't know that I moonlight as an agent. Justin Jefferson's my client, so I'm doing real great right now.
Yeah, it's a good.
It's a good day.
Big day for you. Big day for you for sure. As always, we are going to be drafting. Today we'll be on DraftKings again. I'll be picking. We're in the Millionaire Maker contest. I am the 8th pick today. So, and we do not have any 1 week season other pennants in the draft. So it looks like won't have OWS on OWS violence in this draft going on. But we'll see. We'll see here what's going on. I feel like we've been at the turns for most of the drafts so far. So picking in the middle of the round, get a little different look with it. Yeah, Jefferson. That's a big contract. What was it? 4 years, $140 million. He got.
You got it. Highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how that plays out with you have Ayuk and Higgins both trying to get their new contracts, and then CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase are like right around the corner as well. So it'll be interesting where that goes, because you see it with the quarterback market all the time. Like one guy signs a contract, highest paid quarterback, and then shortly thereafter he's jumped. I'm going to take A.J. Brown, who I believe he was the highest paid receiver prior to Jefferson's contract.
He's got something to prove now, Mike.
Yeah, it's always interesting. Like, do people like Amon-Ra St. Brown, when he signed his contract, said like this made him want to work like even harder to prove he was worth it. But it's interesting because like human nature, there's also obviously probably guys out there who go the other way with it. It's a crazy amount of money. It would kind of be hard. It would take a lot of discipline to not let it change you.
I would love to have that problem one day, Mike.
Speaking of, this is skipping way ahead, but Darren Waller retiring, appears to be pursuing a rap career, which based on the videos I've seen on Twitter is a pretty poor decision. Somebody should help him out there. He would have made like $12 million this year. Even if I think it was like 7 or 8 was like the minimum, even if they had tried to like restructure it or whatever to get out of some of it. I don't know.
It's not relatable to me, Mike. I don't know that I could walk away from playing a kid's game for $8 to $12 million.
Right.
I don't know that I could do it.
You play a kid's game you just got done playing a kid's game for free with your
No, not for free. I pay to play.
That is true love. That is true love for the game. Yeah. Let's see. Back on it. Let's we'll continue with the receiver contract discussion with Ayuk. Did you see the reports that came out like the last 2 or 3 days about the 49ers receivers?
I did not.
So supposedly there's like a rumor coming out of Pittsburgh that like before the season it's like not a done deal, but like this anonymous source or whatever out of Pittsburgh is saying that one of Debo or Ayuk is going to end up a Steeler.
I think that hurts their draft stock for me.
I think it helps. It might help whoever. I think it helps Kittle, and I think it might help whichever one of them stays in San Francisco.
I'd agree. It helps Pershaw as well.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, yeah, and there was other discussion just about that San Fran is they made a mistake not making a deal before the draft, and then they kind of showed their hand at the draft by they extended Jennings, they drafted Pearsall, and just with their cap situation, like that's the quote, I don't want to say problem, but when you have such a loaded roster, there's just so many people to pay. So yeah, we'll see, but that would change a lot of things. The other guy that got me thinking about was George Pickens, who believe his ADP is
Like 40.
fourth round, 47.9 here. On drafters, he's even higher. He's like 41.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that hurts him if one of those guys goes to.
Oh, it would kill him. He'd be like a 7th or 8th round pick. I mean, I would think, right?
I know we're not talking picks and plays. I haven't been taking a lot of George Pickens where he's at now, so I don't know. It would probably steer me off of a lot of Roman Wilson too at his current draft position too, if that were to happen.
Yeah, for sure. Who do I have here? Brown and Ayuk. Okay.
Yeah, I love seeing the board.
Did Waddle just get a new contract too, I believe? Yeah, he signed an $85 million deal. Yeah, these receivers are all getting paid. It's wild. I saw a different stat that it's like 25 receivers are going to be making more than CMC, which is pretty insane. I mean, I get it, but it's wild to think about.
Yeah. In terms of valuable to their team, it's kind of hard to argue that there's 25 wide receivers more valuable than CMC is to San Francisco.
Right. I'm going to go against my ranks and reach a little bit on Malik Neighbors here. The Giants, we talking about Waller before. We'll see what happens with them. He's like just like a close your eyes and pray type, I feel like. Just because I have worries just about that offense. I mean, I trust Brian Dable, but worries about what they can. Is it just a train wreck?
His ADP has been one that I know that we've chatted about and we've talked about in the Discord a lot with subscribers. His ADP, the fluctuations is something that's to me is so baffling. Like I see him get drafted towards the 210, 211, like towards the end of the second round, and then I see him get drafted early to mid 4th round. Like it's to me, I don't know that there's any other player in the top 2 or 3, 4 rounds that has shown that much, via, can't think of the word I want to use here. Volatility. It was a V word. Sorry. It's after midnight in my time zone, buddy.
Yeah, no, you're good. I'll just take Tank Dell. I know you're a Tank Dell fan. We'll throw him in there, just loading up on these wide receivers.
Yeah, it's for where he's going. I do like him compared to some of the other guys around him at the wide receiver spot. It's hard for me to consider Flowers or Pickens or those type of guys over Dell, just because I just feel like Houston's offense has just shown that they're so much better than Pittsburgh's, and Baltimore is always going to be a run first team. So.
Two guys, Kyron Williams went at the 3.9 here, and Josh Jacobs went at the 4.7 here. But like on drafters, Kyron's been going at like the 3-4 turn, like
consistently,
even later than this in a lot of them. And Jacobs, his ADP's fallen to like 56 or 57 or something. Really fallen on there. Both guys who, and we talked a little bit about it before we started recording, but like obviously it's the little red insignia next to their name. Yeah, that is interesting. Like it's the first week of June, and you see these guys without like nothing's torn, but they're, and even if it was, as long as it's nothing like you could have a somewhat serious injury and still in 2 months be fine. So yeah, those are the two guys that are kind of standing out to me as like market overreactions for the point in the season. Sometimes it's like sometimes too much at this point in the season. Like you're too like focused trying to find an edge. It's like, oh, this guy's hurt. I'm gonna bump him down the rankings. So be interesting.
Yeah. So we're doing a DraftKings millionaire here, right? Playoff contest.
Yeah. So
we want to talk any stacking here at all? I know a slightly different strategy compared to drafters, but
yeah, I mean Hurts is
gone.
Hurts is gone. You've got Ayuk, so Purdy would be later. Probably be looking at if I can get Kittle as my tight end. Just on the his ADP right now is 70.4. Andrews and Pitts still as tight ends who would in theory go before him. We've got one, so when I pick, there's 4 guys on the other side of me.
One of them's already got one
tight end. So hopefully
you can roll the dice.
Hopefully this guy doesn't take a tight end, and then hoping Kittle comes back to me and kind of telling that story, like we say, is Debo the one? Do the Niners trade Debo, and then it's Ayuk and Kittle both benefit. So we got the 4. All right, so we'll throw. Scary Terry. We'll take James Cook here. Yeah, interesting to see what the Buffalo offense looks like this season. I think they're among the premium offenses. They're one of the
definitely
they might have the most
question marks.
Yeah, like and just in terms of like who's even going to play where. So,
yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised to see them run a lot more to tight end. If Kincaid is technically a tight end, I wouldn't be surprised to see them run more 2 tight end sets this year with, their top 2 wide receivers no longer on the roster compared for the last, 3-4 years. I don't know when Diggs got traded from Minnesota. 3 years ago?
It was 2020 when Jefferson was drafted.
Okay. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out for sure, Mike.
Yeah. So, and just looking ahead, thinking about
I think you're going Kittle. You're going Kittle next in 3 picks if he's there.
Yeah, just thinking ahead, if I am able to get Kittle, then I'll be wanting to get Purdy later. And outside chance if we talk about correlation week 17. Don't have running backs on this squad really, other than Cook. So would probably try to get David Montgomery in the 7th if he were to fall. That worked out well. Go ahead and take Kittle. Where are we at here? Ramondre Stevenson at the 5-6 turn. Interesting. And I was wrong. I got lucky. I got Piddle, even though our guy in the turn has two tight ends.
There are 2 tight ends now.
Yeah. It's like, it's a new one.
Yeah, he's not watching Mike's training sessions.
And then we've got the this guy Handyman from the 4 slot. He's got Mahomes and Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get it. I think these late night DraftKings rooms, you see some weird things.
Yeah.
There goes Montgomery. So Kenneth Walker just went. Heard a lot of really positive things coming out of Seattle the last week or two. Teams have had OTAs, like they're actually getting out on the field a little bit. Their offensive coordinator, his name, you said too late. He was formerly at University of Washington. Hold on, let me find it.
I'm sure there's some watchers screaming at their screens right now. It's not either of us, but someone is yelling at their screen.
It's Ryan Grubb. Ryan Grubb was at the University of Washington. But yeah, he's basically all the players are like really talking him up. They've said a lot of positive things about not just his passing game, but just that he's going to scheme really well. Like they're going to break a lot more long runs. Just not so vanilla. Just seems like conceptually like the misdirection type stuff. Kind of sounds like Shanahan type, Mike McDaniel type things, but interesting because I feel like Seattle's kind of being overlooked, not really drawing much attention in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah, and outside of kind of Metcalf and generally like 3rd round or so, late 3rd round, you don't see a lot of Seattle guys really having much much attraction to drafters. You're seeing Kenneth Walker go in the 5th, 6th round, but I know you're picking, so
I'll take Rome Odunze.
Yeah.
5th receiver for the Bears. Speaking of that, he plays the Seahawks in week 17. So maybe throw like a Tyler Lockett or Zach Charbonnet in there later.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Smith and Jigba. So yeah, Jameson Williams will be my target in the next round here when we come back around. Try to get that
at week 17 correlation a little bit.
Yeah, that 49ers Lions game. Now I've jinxed it though, so it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Can always go for Khalif Raymond in the 20th if not,
Yeah.
That's.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say you got options. You're not penciled in. You're not blocked.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad I got Kittle because tight ends are flying
off the board. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we'll go ahead with pick 89. Reaching a bit, taking him over Watson, but it makes sense on this roster.
Yeah, you can't follow the strict rankings, Yep. You got to do what makes sense for the roster.
Yeah, and that's my biggest thing, even though I make rankings, but, I don't even really use them when I draft, just because to me it's more like each draft is unique in and of itself. So who is the best player, who I rank the highest, is going to be different each time I get to the 5th round or the 6th round or whatever it is. So, the numbers next to it are kind of thrown out the window once you're actually once the bullets are flying.
Yeah. Got to be nimble.
6 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back so far. I try to get Purdy on this next pick if it can get back to me. It looks like there's a lot of red here, so I'm guessing, and then so you get the Debo drafter at the 3rd pick. He's already got Stroud though, so will he take a 2nd quarterback there? And if not, we've got the 2 guys at the end here. I guess the 1st pick had McCaffrey too, so those are probably the bullets that I'm trying to dodge to get Purdy to fall back to me.
Yeah, the guy in the number 2 hole was probably, I don't know, maybe pulling for Burrow. I heard with T. Higgins. I don't know where he was trying to go.
Could get Tua as well, or Caleb Williams with Swift.
Yeah. Try to grab Komet later. Yeah, I mean he's got. There's Caleb Williams. He heard you.
You do see a lot of, like we talked about. You got to be able to on DraftKings to adjust, just because we talk about like, okay, they these guys take like you see these weird kind of suboptimal teams drafted.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, that can kind of screw you up because it's hard to predict exactly where things are going to go, and it's hard to like plan out ahead. So you got to be able to kind of think on your toes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's always helpful to have this view up, the board, the full board, so you can kind of see what makes sense for people. Obviously, you can't predict people drafting completely suboptimally, but you could take a look and see what should they do, what would make the most sense based on their current build, and that's really all you can do.
So a late night guys. Yeah, for sure. Sorry,
I hope he's not taking a 3rd quarterback here. And
well, there's 2 of the 4 guys before me have 2 quarterbacks already, so you're really sweating back. This is the one
who has no 49ers on his roster currently. He also doesn't have any Cowboys, but that didn't stop him from taking Dak. So,
Warren. So I think I should be pretty safe that I'm going to get Purdy here.
Yeah, I don't think you can really let it ride any further. I think he's got to.
Well, yeah, I've got to take him here. I just meant like that the guy right before me wasn't going to add him to Richardson and Burrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then the 2 guys right after me each do not have a quarterback. So yeah, that worked out well. I've got the Purdy, Ayuk, Kittle stack, Jameson, Williams bring back.
Yeah, I like it. A little light on running back so far, but we've got 10 rounds to go.
Yeah, we'll start firing.
Mike, I know you and the family took a little vacation last week. I didn't get a chance to ask you how was your time. You guys were Michigan or Wisconsin? Where'd you guys go?
Door County, up northern Wisconsin, like the finger or the thumb on Wisconsin. Yeah, no, it was good. It was good to get away a little bit. But then, yeah, back to it. Sometimes getting back in routine is nice too, though. So we had 2 Broncos go here: Cortland Sutton, Javonte Williams. Have you paid much attention to what the Broncos have done? What are your thoughts on their offseason and I guess their outlook, really?
I've read your season preview, or maybe Hilo wrote that one because it's AFC. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
and I've done a little thoughts on my own. I don't mind Sutton at all at his current draft position. I think on full PPR sites, I prefer McLaughlin later. And as far as the running backs go, there's definitely some. Benson, yeah, I love that pick. I don't know. There's definitely some figuring it out. I think there's a lot of off-season kind of chatter about Marvin Mims, second-year wide receiver, kind of taking that next step. Definitely a guy I don't mind drafting. Certainly, I haven't done as many DK drafts, but drafters, you're seeing him go like 180th, 170th, somewhere in that range, kind of overall.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure exactly where that translates, 15th round or so. Certainly don't mind taking a gamble on him there. What about yourself? How do you feel about some Javonte, Cortland Sutton, other Broncos?
I think the Broncos are going to be an absolute train wreck. I think they're going to be like last year's Panthers. Just
That's
like
saying something.
I think Nick's like similar to Bryce Young, like a solid college quarterback, like has some things that he does well, but like physical tools wise, like doesn't seem to be there. And they just seem to have they just have a lot of guys who have names that you kind of know. Like last year, like coming into the season, and I kind of fell for it, like because I was like, well, Bryce Young's the number one pick, and then Adam Thielen's a vet that we've seen him do really well. He actually had a good stretch.
Yeah, he had a good stretch.
But DJ Chark, like we're like, oh, he's like a big play threat. They got Mingo. They drafted 34th overall, supposed to be good after the catch. Miles Sanders was like, they gave him 5 years, $25 million. He had been good for the Eagles. Like there's just a lot of guys who you're like, oh, like that's a solid guy. That's a solid guy. That's a solid guy. Number one pick. Okay. And I think like Nick's it's kind of the same thing, and then you had Frank Reich too, to kind of finish out the comparison. Like I think him and Sean Payton are both guys who, have had good careers and have had successful offenses, but like, I don't know that I don't think they've still got it. Reich kind of got exposed last year. But also to defend him, from everything I understand, he didn't want Young. He wanted Stroud. And that was part of his issue with ownership, and part of why he got fired, I think, because he probably kept saying, "I told you so." Mm-hmm. Understandably.
I understand. I mean, when you're that right, it's hard to bite your tongue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, that's kind of my thoughts on them. Is like I have a hard time seeing them being like a. I'm going to take Charbonnet because I was talking about the Seahawks running game. I've got that with Odunze, the little mini correlation for week 17.
It's all that matters. That's what I hear people say.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't see it. And even if they are able to eke out like a few wins or whatever, I think their offense is not going to be anything that we're looking to target. I mean, if like Jaleel McLaughlin's a guy that I've drafted a decent amount of late in drafts, just he kind of popped on the screen for me last year, and he's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it for me for them.
Yeah, not a team I've got a lot of exposure to myself personally. So
what we can do here. All right. ahead. I'm just going to take A.D. Mitchell. I like taking him on builds like this, so he's my 7th wide receiver. I got those, the first 4, right away. Brown, Ayuk, Neighbors, and Dell, who should all have like pretty solid roles. You get Odunze and Williams as a little more high volatility guys, but should be starters on good offenses. And then Mitchell, I don't like need him, but if he's the type of guy that if you take him on a roster that you're weak at wide receiver, and he doesn't and he has like a tough stretch, especially in you've got to advance, you've got to get out of your pod, so your initial 12 teams that you're drafting with, so it'd be tough to have him on a roster where he's like your wide receiver 4 or 5.
Yeah, I prefer him as my wide receiver 6 or 7. I agreed with you there.
So the Packers, so Dontavian Wicks just went. So they've got Wicks goes in the 12th. Dubs went in this draft in the 9th round, started the 9th round. Christian Watson in the 8th, and Jaden Reed in the 5th. So 4 wide receivers in the first 12 rounds, and Wicks actually his ADP is in the 11th round. So 4 wide receivers in the first 11 rounds, and they're not going to all be on the field. That's an interesting. Someone's wrong there.
They can't all overachieve. I mean, I guess they can, but it's unlikely. So be curious to see how that plays out. And then obviously you've got Musgrave and Tucker Kraft as well. A lot of passing options on that offense. A lot of mouths to feed, as they say.
Yeah. I'm kind of thinking I might take Musgrave with one of these upcoming picks. I've only got 3 running backs, so probably take a Packer here, either Lloyd or Musgrave. All right, we'll take Lloyd.
Yes, you could make an argument there for considering Pearsall, just based on our previous conversation. But I understand why you didn't.
Yeah, and I think ADP wise, he'll probably still be around at the next turn. This is where you get into. So you've got, and this, I think this will be like a critical point in drafts. Is you've got Jalen Polk, Jermaine for the Patriots, Jermaine Burton for the Bengals, Troy Franklin for the Broncos, Roman Wilson for the Steelers. So you've got all those, and you've got Pearsall in that range too. You've even got like Malachi Corley for the Jets. All like somebody out of that group's gonna have a season, right? Just based on the opportunities and that sort of thing. So kind of an inflection point in drafts, like who gets that right. So I'm going to go ahead and take Musgrave here. I talked about the 4 Packers wide receivers, and then I took a Packers running back and tight end.
What's the Mike? Show me the players in terms of availability for QB coming up. I think we're going to want to snag a second QB maybe in the next couple picks.
Yeah. So McCarthy, May, Young. Yeah, we're getting down to the felt here, and they do. Those quarterbacks do go considerably faster on
Mhm.
DraftKings than they do on Drafters. So I've got to like consciously remind myself of that when I'm drafting to not forget about the position.
Yeah. It's the only reason why I mentioned it. I just saw a lot of guys going off the board.
So Drake May is an interesting one to me, like just that he's going as late as he is, just with his skill set being like his draft. I think his ADP is like 207 on Drafters, and it's like 195 here on DraftKings, which is if you look at it, he's behind Justin Fields, who's going to be the backup. He's like next to Bo Nix. So
I think the thing with Drake May, I don't think that many folks, many experts expect the Patriots to be a super strong contending team this year. So to me, Drake May is, I don't want to say one of the sure bets because he's a rookie. So I don't want to say he's a sure bet, but he's a reasonably likely bet that he's going to play 15, 16, 17 games. Like they have no reason not to. They're not expected to be good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's interesting to me that he goes so late.
Little tight end run here.
Yep. You've got two already. You're in a good spot.
Yeah. Tyler Conklin just went just a couple rounds ago. Aaron Rodgers went. Did you see the speaking of off-season overreactions, the video of Rodgers like getting his foot worked on and then limping while he was running and stuff?
You are way more in the weeds than I am this early in the draft season. I'm not seeing those videos.
And then it's all speculation about like the Achilles and stuff. And, there was a couple people I saw tweets of like really, being very negative about it. And somebody else like jumped in and they're like, hey, you realize that that's his right foot and he tore his Achilles on his left. So, and then like it turned out it was like a blister. Like the issue was a blister. So
I think your decision here is: are you taking a quarterback or are you taking Ray Davis?
I'm gonna dance with the devil here and take Ray Davis, just because there's all four of those quarterbacks that are reasonably going to be starters. You look at the four teams drafting after me, two quarterbacks.
You're really just worried about Renegade, the guy on the 12-13 turn. That's the guy with one quarterback.
Yeah, and I could see he took Jones, who I wasn't targeting at all, although he might have made sense with Neighbors. But yeah, it looks like I'm going to get one of those rookie quarterbacks.
Bryce Young. You got to take him early after how good the Panther season was last year.
Yeah. All right. So then here's the other thing I like about May is so I can draft him here, and then you can, for like stacking purposes, because nobody expects them to be a good offense, you can go ahead and get lots of players from a bad offense on your team at the end of your draft. I say that,
sort of joking,
but yeah, and I do think like on drafters, I wouldn't focus as much on trying to get other guys, but if he does come on strong end of season, like rookie year, Josh Allen, that last 5-6 weeks on OWS, we had a nice run playing him. Josh Allen's rookie year. So Drake May kind of does that, kind of lifts everyone up around him. You could get a really cheap stack that could do something nice for you. So,
yeah. Sad to say his tight end went off the board just a round ago.
Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
And Henry's a guy that, like he's 28 or 29 now. But he was when he came out, he was the 35th overall pick. Like he was really good for the Chargers for a while. And then obviously since he's been in New England, it's been like, it's been a mess with, they had the first year after Brady, I think Cam Newton was in there. And then Mac Jones came. He had the one good season. And then last year was obviously, last 2 years, I guess, have been a mess. Because Mac was good as a rookie, correct?
Mm-hmm.
2021, and then 2022 was the regression, and then last year just got benched. So, yeah.
So where are we looking total currently? We got 2,572, something like that.
For total numbers for the team.
Yeah,
2,572. So
is that something you keep? Is that something you keep tabs on while you're drafting?
Yeah, to a certain extent, and then also there's like the, like it's not just the numbers; it's where you picked them.
Mm-hmm.
How much like kind of a running calculation of your draft capital,
sure,
to a position.
How conscious are you, Mike, of buys? Are you willing to have a couple of running backs or wide receivers that share the same bye week? Obviously, not something you want with quarterback or tight end if you're only taking two. Obviously they got to have different buys.
Yeah, I'll take Rashawn Johnson just because I'm kind of like him, and I'm relatively weak at running back on this roster. So yeah, I mean, it's not like my main focus, but can be a tiebreaker. And then obviously you need to, understand your format, understand what you can sacrifice. Oh, your boy Jelani Woods, look at that. That's the earliest I've ever seen him go. Word's getting out.
Oh, they've been watching all my drafts.
Both my Patriots receivers went, so there goes that plan.
Yeah.
Oh, we're moving now. So I have 6 running backs already, but there's lots of questions. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Foreman here.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to hold off there. We'll just throw Justin Fields on the roster because I was about to run out of time.
Okay.
I can talk about that Pittsburgh. Hey, if Ayuk ends up being the one that gets traded, now I've got the Fields to Ayuk stack at the end of the season.
Yeah, that'll be unique.
Pittsburgh, except for the fact that there'll still be like a month of drafting if he does get traded.
Yeah. But no one will have
grabbed him. Darren Waller. Let's see if people are paying attention. He hasn't officially announced his retirement.
He has
expected.
But we'll probably know in the next week because the Giants aren't going to want to pay him that money if he's going to retire. I think that decision's got to be made by like June 15th or something.
So 2 spots left. Got the third quarterback. Probably try to add a third tight end here.
Some slim pickings down there.
You go with Theo Johnson. There you go. That might be or Dulcich.
Yeah.
That is the thing with Dulcich, and I talked last week on my training session about the tight end position, specifically to drafters, but Dulcich is like he had a stretch where he was like a primary target kind of for them 2 years ago. And there's not many guys, especially at his position, with that potential, I guess, when he's going off the board at 19, 20th rounds of drafts. So someone to keep an eye on. And he's a guy we talk about risers and fallers, closing line value is something we talk about. And yeah, I mean, if he comes out and like he's the clear starter and he's moving all over the formation, he's a guy who you could see all of a sudden he's being drafted up, in this K-Dot and Juwan Johnson, Chiga Okonkwo, like that 14th, 15th round. So,
yeah, I don't hate it at all.
Mayer off the board. Get the 4 tight end build here. Hawkinson, Otten, Jonnu, and Michael Mayer.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Certainly not when your top tight end is TJ Hawkinson with all those questions.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be another thing, where he goes and what that does, for the rest of the offense. As things get closer, does he get put on PUP? Let's see. All right. Almost up. So what I was going to say before is I'm either going to go Foreman. The Browns, we've talked at length in the past about, hey, Darren Waller just went. Look at that.
Thank you for not paying attention, sir.
Or on this one, I'm going to take Tank Bigsby.
Okay.
So the news, this of course being our like news and market report show, the Jaguars supposedly want to kind of limit Travis Etienne's touches, like kind of preserve him a little bit, which would mean a little bigger chunk for Bigsby. So
yeah, they didn't draft anyone, right?
No, yeah. So it's just Etienne and Bigsby. Bigsby wasn't great last year, but a little bit of fluff coming out of their camp.
So here we going either tight end or wide receiver?
Yeah, I think toying with Osborne to put him with May, but I mean, really, I'm not like I don't think that this roster needs to rely on that. I think what I'm going to do is we have here Musgrave and Kittle at tight end. Yeah, I'm gonna take Dulcich. Just his upside profile. Round out the squad there. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean, I like it here. We've got 3773. We've got a good little 49er stack. We've got the week 17 correlation there with Williams. Got some mini correlations there with Charbonneau and Adunze. Guys whose names I will learn to say properly as we get closer to August and September, Mike.
There you go. Yeah. And sometimes like with what was it that they find? Is it Achan? Is it Devon Achan? There was like 4 different pronunciations that like they went through last season.
Yeah, before apparently he told the announcers, no, this is how you say it.
Yeah. Yeah, so heavy on the rookie receivers with Neighbors, Adunze, and Mitchell. Got some second-year running backs: Tank Bigsby, Rashawn Johnson, Charbonnet as a second-year running back, and then Lloyd Davis and Benson as rookie running back. You can tell where my biases lie at the running back position.
Yeah.
So really betting on that San Fran Detroit game in week 17 and just hope everything else works out, I guess.
Like it?
Yeah. But, as always, the main focus on this is just kind of catching up on things. And this time of the off season, not too much going on. It's actually going to slow down even more, probably after next week, just because NFL offseason limits contact so much now. So get like a 5 or 6 week dry spell without much news unless there's a trade or, somebody gets hurt working out in a parking lot or something. So
we can always talk U.S. Open golf next week, Mike. You won't hurt my feelings.
There we go. Pinehurst.
I had on my Pinehurst shirt today. So,
Well, we'll just keep chugging along, keep drafting. And if for any viewers that are not already 1 week season subscribers, highly recommend you guys come check us out. Our Bestball Plus product, of course, is rolling along. We offer training sessions in audio format 3 days a week on our private feed. And then we do this on Mondays, delayed a day this week. But then on Friday, Hilo does either roster reviews or industry experts pod, where he brings people on to talk about different things in the industry. Highly recommend you guys check us out. A lot going on. I think there's a lot of value that we bring that we, when you get behind the curtain, you'll understand. So if you're looking at taking the plunge, definitely come check us out. Hit us up in the comments. Hit us up on Twitter or Discord. But I am Mike. He is Billy. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, we'll see you guys again next week. Billy, happy drafting this week. I'm sure we'll be in touch.
That sounds good, my friend. And for anyone who hasn't subscribed, we just had a price break June 1st. So it's even a better deal.
Yes, price dropped $20 on June 1st. So, and you still have access to all those training sessions from May that are on our podcast feed that are kind of evergreen. So a lot of value there. Looking to, as we say, teach you how to fish. So we'll let you guys get to it. Happy drafting. We will see you next week, and we will see you in the draft rooms.
See you, guys.